Hands up, who's a people pleaser? Then this video is for you because today we talk about how to set boundaries and my personal 3-step protocol on how to say no more often. Hey there and welcome to this video. My name is Jonas. I'm co-founder of FlowLab, a mental fitness app that helps you with guided meditations and an individualized training plan to reach peak performance and experience more flow states. If you enjoy our content, I'd be happy if you give this video a thumbs up and share our channel with other ambitious minds. This is a video I mainly produce for myself, and at the same time I think it's a topic that many people can relate to, so I wanted to share my thoughts on this. Imagine you have a busy week, the tasks pile up on your desk and you're happy that you'll at least have an evening just for yourself. But then a friend asks you to help them carry boxes because they're moving into a new flat. Would you turn them down? I probably could not. My most recent challenge is to learn how to set boundaries and say no more often. For me, this is relevant in mainly two types of situations. When others ask me for a favor but I don't have the capacity for that, and for situations where I'm afraid to miss out on a great opportunity. When someone asks me for help, saying no feels like disappointing the other. Being a bad friend, husband, son, whoever I would turn down. I like to keep it harmonious, and it's so hard to deal with a bad conscience that comes with a no. If I dare to look closer at these social commitment situations, what I find is a bunch of quite persistent limiting beliefs like I have to please everyone, or people won't like me anymore if I say no. It may be the fear that our relationship will suffer if I prioritize my own needs over the other. And then in other contexts, there are these fork in the road moments where there's an open door, an opportunity, but maybe I already feel that I don't have the time or motivation to go down that path. But then I get FOMO. What if I miss out on a once-in-a-lifetime thing? This can be anything from an invitation to speak at a conference, although I feel kind of overworked already, to an invitation to a party, although I'd like to have a quiet evening on the couch. It's not to say that you should refuse everything that crosses your path just because you don't feel like it at the moment. Sometimes the motivation to go to a party only emerges once you've made it there, and the feeling of helping out a friend who is moving to a new place can be worth sacrificing a cozy evening at home. But it always depends. And if you notice patterns of self-neglect and self-sacrifice to please others, you should learn how to set boundaries. That's what I'm practicing too, and why I developed a protocol of 3 steps on how to say no. First of all, something that helped me a lot is the reminder that I don't have to immediately make a decision. Most of the time, it's absolutely fine to ask for time to think about it. When giving in to the urge to immediately respond, we might regret our impulsiveness later on. To avoid that, take some time and peace to weigh the pros and cons, to become aware of your resources, both time-wise and mentally and emotionally, and then make your decision. You could even say something like, by when do you need an answer from me? Instead of, is it okay if I come back to you on that? So that it doesn't feel like you already owe the other something for giving you respite. And when you take this time, it helps me a lot to ask at least 3 questions. First, why is it so hard for me to say no? Because what you might find here are limiting beliefs that you've internalized over the years that influence the way you think about yourself, about other people, or the world around you. I tend to believe that I have to please and agree with others in order to be liked, and that others won't like me anymore if I decline a request. Becoming aware of these limiting beliefs is the first step and absolutely crucial if you want to grab the bull by its horns. Because once you've understood what guides your behavior, you can challenge these beliefs, perhaps asking yourself if it's really dependent on that decision whether you are a worthy person, a good friend, partner, boss, or whether this is rather an opportunity to set a good example by advocating for yourself and your needs. I feel this latter aspect can not only make you feel better, but also communicate to the other person that it's just as fine if they reject the request and listen to their needs, thereby contributing to an atmosphere of mutual acceptance. Second, I like to ask myself, if I say yes, what am I saying no to? In the end, it's a question of setting priorities. Our time is limited, and so is our energy. If you commit to something, it means you don't have the time and energy for something else. And that's why you should consider whether this brings you closer towards your higher goal, whether saying yes keeps you from pursuing something that is more important to you, and whether there are any challenges, hurdles, complications that would make it more difficult for you to commit. You don't have to go through each door that opens up if it's not the right one. But this implies that you need to know which door to take. So reflecting on this question is a crucial step in this protocol. I personally struggled sometimes when I had multiple goals, like bringing FlowLab to the next level while also making time for sports and other hobbies, or helping out a friend but spending enough quality time with my family too. What helps me here to make a decision is also the third question. Which core values do I want to live by? So on a broader level, I think it's useful to reflect on the motives that drive you, the principles you want to lead your everyday life by, and what you want to contribute in life. There's not always one concrete goal we can use as a decision aid. Sometimes it's about the feeling that you're doing the right thing, that you're living authentically and in line with what is important to you. If you like, you can spend your time reflecting with our flow sessions rocking chair or beneath the surface, both in the training area of Drive and the FlowLab app, that help you shed light on your values and motives respectively. Whenever I feel the lingering feeling of guilt because I want to decline a request, I remind myself that saying no is an appreciation of my time too, and a form of self-care. You're worth taking your needs seriously, and make sure you have enough opportunities to recharge. No one should sacrifice themselves just to please everyone. And this starts by doing yourself a favor by saying no rather than the other. I mean, if I don't respect my own boundaries, others won't do so either. I'll feel overwhelmed, stressed, perhaps not seen. Maybe even get angry or frustrated that others are so demanding. But I mean, how should they know that I don't have the capacity for something if I don't tell them? If you think about it, do you sometimes have the urge to escape somewhere where you can just be by yourself and take some alone time? We all need time every now and then for ourselves where we can process our experiences. But if you have the feeling that you urgently crave it, that you're escaping into me time, this can be an indication that you should set more boundaries. Ask yourself whether saying yes would help or actually hurt your well-being, whether it creates more stress or contentment in the end. Instead of avoiding the interaction with others because you feel that others are frequently overstepping a line, you could explore what it feels like to confront others, to advocate for yourself and set boundaries so you feel more comfortable among others too, knowing that your needs will be met because you defend them. I realized at some point that this will make me lead a more self-determined life, because if I always avoid saying no, others will set the agenda and rule over my time. So whenever I find myself in a situation where I struggle to say no, although I know it's the right decision, I recall this perspective and remind myself that by saying no, I'm doing myself a favor and, in a way, live a more self-determined life. Okay, once you've made this decision to say no, the third step is about how to communicate that. One thing that helped me actually say it out loud was to combine it with a thank you. Thank you that you had me in mind for that. Thank you for this amazing opportunity. Thank you, but I have to pass on that. You communicate that you're appreciating the offer and reject it in a polite way. Even when it comes to doing someone a favor, this still applies because I like to think of it as a sign that I belong to the inner circle, that the other rates our relationship as close enough to ask for this favor. So I'm often flattered that the person approached me with a request, even if it's about helping them move to a new place or something like that. And adding a thank you can make me feel less guilty while still defending my time and resources. In some cases, it doesn't have to be either a yes or a no. You may reject the request the other approached you with, but perhaps you can do something else for them. Maybe you can't help your friend carry boxes, but want to help them prepare the housewarming party. Maybe you can't make time for a meeting, but offer to answer questions via Slack. It's a thin line here. You shouldn't offer it if you actually don't have the capacity for this either, just to stay true to the people-pleasing side inside you. But it can be a compromise and perhaps something that helps you live according to your values or approach multiple goals if it's difficult to make a decision. And finally, although it's easier said than done, try to be clear and firm in your response. Don't beat around the bush if you know that you don't want to do it. I know it's tempting to delay the discussion and the disappointment you may anticipate, to ask pseudo questions to allegedly signal interest or answer with a maybe, but this won't make it any better. Worst case, your feeling of guilt will just become stronger. It's a form of procrastination as well, where delaying a rejection becomes more and more uncomfortable. We've discussed procrastination and the avoidance cycle in several other videos already. Check out our playlist if you want to dive deeper into this topic. If you are clear in your response, saying something like, "Thank you, but I don't have the capacity for that," you'll most probably feel relieved and the other has more time to find someone else to support them. Alright, this was my personal protocol that helps me to say no more often, so I can say yes to the things that are most important to me. There are certainly numerous other tips out there. Feel free to share what works best for you in the comments. And if you like this video, I'd appreciate if you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Also, don't miss out on the opportunity to get 50% of the yearly subscription of FlowLab Pro with the code YouTube. Find all the instructions in the description below. Have a great day and hope to see you soon.